how to create what you want in life. Do you fantasize about living the life of your dreams, but you're not sure how to make it come true? Do you still believe that it's possible for you to create the life you desire, but you're not sure how? If you're a dreamer with big goals who want to make them happen, you are in the right place, because in this video, I'm gonna share how to create what you want in life. Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, my name is Courtney Sanders. I'm a full-time online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things. And in today's video, I'm so excited to talk about creating the life you want. So I love these subjects, by the way, just talking about goal setting and achieving your dreams. I just feel like so many adults, when we grow up, we are, have the belief that we can do anything beaten out of us, right? So whether it's school, whether it's society, over time we just start to settle for just the mediocre and the mundane and whatever in front of us. So I'm like, you know what, I do a lot of business topics on this channel, I do a lot about business coaching, etc., but let's do some life coaching today, right? Let's talk about how to create what you want in life. And in fact, this is almost a little nostalgic for me to be talking about this, because the first product that I ever created in my life coaching business was called the Get What You Want workbook. So I came up with this idea after hosting an event live in Dallas, Texas. That event was my first ever foray into selling anything in my business. I didn't even know how people made money online. I was like, are they hosting brunches? I think that's how they're doing it. They're using social media and they're getting people to come to brunch and they're getting everybody to pay them $30 a ticket. And if you get 1,000 people to come to a brunch, you'll make $30,000 a month. That was literally my mindset. So anyway, I held my first event in Dallas, Texas on a Saturday. About 30 women came out. It was a success in that people came. It was a failure in that I lost money, but one of the good things that came from that was they were all asking me, how do you set goals and actually achieve them? Because I held this event maybe around Thanksgiving time, so this was a few months before the new year. And I was like, oh, this is my specialty. I love talking about this, because not too long ago, I had graduated from college and I was working full-time in my corporate job, but I had figured out how to create the life I wanted after screwing up in school. So if you've watched some of my videos before and you know my story, I had a full ride engineering scholarship. I lost it pursuing entrepreneurship, and I got into a bunch of credit card debt, and my grades tanked, and I was almost flunking out of school and all these different things. I wasn't healthy, I wasn't eating right. And so I had used a lot of the principles that I had learned to really turn my life around. And that's how I even got into life coaching, because people started to read my blog as I was posting my transformation, and they started to ask me, hey, can I do that too? Like, can you help me, coach me on that? Like, how is it that you're doing that? So because I was like, ooh, I've done this before. I've turned my life around. I've created the life that I wanted. I went back and created a workbook called the Get What You Want Guide. And that was literally the first product I ever sold. I sold it in January of 2015, and it's still on Amazon today if you want to go check it out. So that was a long-winded way to say, I love this topic, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about this today, because I want you to create the life you want. And so with that, let's get into the strategies. Okay, the first thing you need to do in order to create the life you want is you need to commit to completion. This is so important. And in fact, when I'm reminding myself this, I call this the Genesis 1 method. So I've named this after the first book of the Bible, Genesis. In the beginning, in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He separated the light from the darkness. He separated the water from the sky. He separated the water from the dry land. It's all of these little iterations of God did this, and then he rested. And then the next day he did this, and then he rested. And then the next day he did this, and then he rested. Basically what's happening there is God is completing the thing that he's working on before he moves to the next thing, because each thing builds on top of itself. And so I find that a lot of people who want to create the life that they want, they're so focused on the end result. They're like, oh my goodness, I just want to, be at my goal weight, or I just want to have X amount of money in the bank, or I just want this credit score, or I just want my relationship to be like this, or I just want my kids to act like this, or I just want to live in this house. They're so focused on, I just want this thing, that they end up throwing spaghetti on the wall and doing a bunch of different things, but not completing anything that's going to make it actually happen. You see this every single new year in January. People are getting on treadmills for, a few days. And then, when that didn't help them lose the weight that they wanted, then they're, well, let me go lift weights. Well, let me go do CrossFit. Well, let me go Peloton. They're jumping into all these different things, and they're not seeing seeing any one thing through. The truth about creating the life you want is that it's really gonna be a stair-step approach. Everything is going to build and layer on top of itself. And this is true in my own life and in my own journey. I just told you that my first product ever was a workbook, right? But I never would have gotten the idea to create that workbook had I not first held the event. So first I had to do the event, which gave me the idea to the workbook. But after I created the workbook, that gave me the idea for another product that I created, which gave me the idea for a self-discipline program that I created, which ended up being my breakout product. And that led to me doing one-on-one coaching, which then led to me doing some group coaching, which then led to me hosting an event, which then led to all the things you see here. So even me standing before you right now, talking into this camera and having this YouTube channel and sharing all of this knowledge, I would not be where I am had I not focused on completing things. So you really got to commit to completion. Always remember that Genesis 1:1 method. If God had to focus on one thing, finish it, and rest before he moved on to the next thing, how much more do you and I need to do the same thing? So that's the first strategy to creating the life you want. All right, the next thing you need to do to create the life you want is you need to master your money. And I talk about this so much because I am just amazed at how often people lie to themselves and act like money doesn't matter, or I don't care about the money. I just want to live my life and frolic in the, dandelions and what have you. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, money is required for every single thing that we do. In fact, I would say, this is completely unscientific, but I would say a solid 80% of people would not go to the job that they're working at tomorrow if it weren't not for the money, right? So I cannot believe people say things like it's not about the money, but I'm like, the only reason you're going to your job is for the money, right? You would be doing something totally different if you had financial freedom. And so to create the life you want is going to require you to master your money, because mastering your money is literally how you almost buy your own freedom, right? So it allows you to create freedom of time, freedom of being with your family. And I knew that from a very early age. So that's what I focused on and why I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship, because it's one of the few ways that you're able to create financial freedom for yourself, outside of, any structures that, are telling you need to be somewhere, you need to do something or whatever. So start to focus on mastering your money. And for me, that was learning how to get on a budget and learning how to get out of debt. So when I, lost my scholarship, I started basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, not literally, but I opened up a bunch of credit cards to try to keep things afloat. And I got to a place, because I was just a lowly college student who didn't have any money, where I couldn't even make my monthly payments. And so one of the first things I did was I focused on mastering my money, meaning how can I live on this budget? How can I make sure that I'm paying these credit cards down? That's what I focused on. After that, I moved on to the next level where I was like, okay, how can I create an income for myself in my business? So I'm working this job. How can I grow my business to the place where I'm replacing my income? And then from there, it was, okay, how can I grow that income? How can I create passive income? As I'm actually recording this right now, I am in my condo, my investment property that I purchased, which is an investment for me because it's going to create passive income for me, right? So I have a real estate property in Dallas, and this is my second real estate property here in the Houston area. But again, everything is building on top of itself, right? Who knows, in a few years on this video, I might be talking to you from some condo complex that I bought or some commercial building or something like that, right? So again, it's what we talked about in the previous step, committing to completion, but mastering your money is so important, because once you master your money, it buys your life back. It buys you the time you need to really do the things you want to do and pursue the purpose that you're passionate about. All right, the next thing you need to do to create the life you want is you need to focus on your routine more than you focus on your result. So I kind of hinted at this when I was talking about the first one, that Genesis 1 method. But again, so many of us are so obsessed with the end result that we get frustrated that we don't have it yet, and then we quit, not realizing that the result will take care of itself if we take care of the routine. So just as you can't, get into marathon shape if you're not running every day, if you focus on your routine of running every day, at the end of whatever you're, running for a month, running for 6 months or whatever the end of your program is, you will be in the shape you need in order to run that marathon. Same thing with your business. If you focus on the routine of promoting yourself, of engaging with your ideal clients and your ideal avatar, with creating content, with growing your business, if you focus on that routine and you do the things that are necessary every single day, the results will take care of itself. The revenue will take care of itself. You'll have more clients than you can even handle. In terms of your relationships, if you focus on being there for your spouse or for your partner every single day and, showing up for them and, making sure that that relationship's great, focusing on that routine, you will have the relationship that you want. Your relationship with your kids, again, if you focus on reading to them, tucking them in at night, listening to their stories after they get home from school, and just really developing that relationship, you'll look up and that will take care of itself. So we gotta get away from the result. Focus on the result long enough for you to set the goal and develop the routine that you need to be abiding by. But once you've developed a routine, focus on that routine and again, commit to completion. Focus on that routine and then your end result will take care of itself. All right, I have more tips where that came from, but first I wanna hear from you. What is the life that you're trying to create? Go ahead, dream a little. Put in the comments below the dream life that you wanna live. All right, the next thing you need to do if you want to create the life you want is you want to focus on your strengths and partner on your weaknesses. Now, this is something that I wish I learned a lot sooner, because again, I'd be a lot further, a lot faster. But again, so many of us are taught to really work on improving our weaknesses. And I do think that this is important in the instance of character. So understand that what I'm talking about is not necessarily about character, right? So, if your character is messed up, if you, lie, if you steal, if you cheat, if you do anything terrible like that, that's a huge weakness and you need to work on that. But the weaknesses that I'm talking about are things that you just might not be good at that are just not really a part of your personality. For instance, it's not a character flaw if you're not a good negotiator, right? It's not a character flaw if you're not necessarily a good conversationalist. So if it interests you, you can focus on developing that. But I find that you get to where you're trying to go a lot faster if you really double down on your strengths and you partner with others for your weaknesses. So for me, even again, I'm recording this in this investment property and I don't have a lot of time. One of my weaknesses right now is I don't have a lot of time. I'm a mom of two, under 5, right? So I got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old at home. There's things going on. In my mind, I would love to think that one day I'll be this great, interior decorator, but so far my track record, that has not been the case. So I could have said, you know what? I'm gonna teach myself interior design and I'm gonna decorate this whole place myself. I did not do that. I doubled down on my strengths, which is running my business and creating content and doing those things, attracting clients, which then allowed me to generate the revenue so that I could then pay an interior designer who then laid this place out and it looks really fantastic. So that's just an example. And it doesn't even have to deal with business all the time. For instance, I'm actually not the greatest negotiator. I'm getting a little better, but sometimes it's hard, especially for me in the car dealerships. I become like friendly with everybody. I want to be like best friends and I don't always go in and do the hard-nosed negotiations. But my husband, an amazing negotiator. Like, I don't know where he gets this from, but he is so good at this, right? So again, I double down on my strengths and I let him do the heavy duty negotiating. But then in the reverse, I'm very much a people person. I'm interested in people. I genuinely find people interesting. It's very easy for me to make conversation. My husband, not so much. So he doubles down on what he's good at and then he lets me do what I'm good at. And then we tag team and ultimately we're able to negotiate or get in situations or make connections and just do the things that we need to do for our family that much stronger because we're doubling down on our strengths and then we're partnering on our weaknesses. Okay, the 5th thing you need to do if you want to create the life you want is you need to align your wants with God's will. Haha, you didn't know that I was gonna throw that one in there, but it's important. I could not do this video without saying that because I know personally there are many things that I really wanted really bad and I was doing everything that I could do to make that happen and God was like, sis, nah, like, not my will for you. I'm gonna need you to sit down on this one, right? So oftentimes if you find like you are bumping your head up against a wall, it's just an uphill battle, things are very, very just, you're not making headway, you might wanna revisit, again, get in your relationship with God and be like, you know what, Lord, is this what you even want me to do? Because if it's not, it doesn't matter how good you are at it. It doesn't matter how well you partner. It doesn't matter how much you commit to completing and all the other things that we've said in this video. If it's not something that God wants you to do, you're not gonna find a lot of success with it. So very important, make sure that you align your wants with God's will for your life. Okay, I hope you enjoyed these strategies for creating the life that you want. And again, I hope you really took to heart what I said in terms of mastering your money. If you did, then I wanna invite you to download my financial freedom formula. This is a free download, a free video that I did a while ago that really breaks down the mindset that you need to have in order to create financial freedom in your life. So if you want access to that right now so that you can begin mastering your money and getting the freedom that you need in order to pursue your purpose and your passion, go ahead and click the link below. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And if you can't wait until my next video, make sure you're checking me out on my podcast where I share even more strategies on not just business, but personal development, spirituality, my family, all these different things. So you can check it out on the Courtney Sanders Show on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast episode or my next video, check me out on Instagram, CourtneyLSanders. Go to my latest post, leave a comment and let me know that you watched this video, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye.